It is time to talk with Pete Hjelmstad with the Iowa Department of Transportation here in your hometown news station, AM 1300 KGLO and KGLOAM.com. Well, Pete, thanks for joining us as always here. We got some snow, and maybe we should just talk about. There's a lot of decisions that are made when closing interstates and closing highways, or saying that they're impassable and whatnot. But that's obviously a tough decision that's made to close down a major interstate like Interstate 35 when you have a winter storm.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Bob. We understand the impact that has not on just the traveling public, but the communities. I'll say the Mason City, Clear Lake area, traffic is pushed off the interstate, and all of a sudden the Mason City, Clear Lake hotels, motels, restaurants, they fill up quick. And so we really, really try to keep those roads open as much as possible. But this one, we had that first wave of snow in the morning, then we had the break, and you saw the second wave coming on radar. You knew the winds were going to be 50, 60 miles per hour. And the bottom line is safety. And with that visibility, or I guess lack thereof, it just made sense. And when we do close interstates previously, a lot of the times they close themselves because cars would get stranded or stuck, and you couldn't get through, and you couldn't get people out to get those vehicles removed. Well, this time we closed it before that happened, and it worked out really, really well because we didn't have those types of issues. And when it was safe, we were able to get our crews back out there. They were able to clear the roads without having to clear vehicles first. So we got it open quicker, on the back end as well. It is a tough decision. It is made with safety as a priority. And hopefully it's the last time we have to think about it until maybe November or December.
It doesn't work that way, right?
I do. I'll have to say, Bob, I did see something, I think it was on Facebook earlier today, that was a picture of the groundhog, and it just said, "You thought I was kidding, didn't you?"
Yeah, throw the handcuffs on that groundhog and send it to jail, I think.
I'm right there with you.
Well, like you were mentioning, being proactive and shutting it down early, like you say, with that, being able to see what it was doing weather-wise. That's usually the biggest culprit. Those cars that are stranded on the interstate, or people thinking that I could still drive when they shouldn't be driving on the interstate. Then they end up in the ditch, and then that car probably ends up usually being there for a couple of days, if not longer, because of tow restrictions and whatnot.
Correct. And honestly, if they end up in the ditch, and just obviously as long as everybody's okay, the worst part is when they are stranded on the road, or if we have crashes and they can't be removed because of the conditions. Then when the conditions do clear up, we have to wait for those vehicles to be removed before we can get out there and, complete plowing of that area. So yeah, you're exactly right. It is so many different things that play into it.
Well, I know one project was supposed to get underway this week with State Highway 122 around the Mercy Hospital area, and obviously the snow probably had a little impact on that, didn't it?
It did. It pushed it back a few days. There are still hopes of getting it going this week, and the project we're talking about is 122 between Pearson Monroe and Mason City. Pearson Monroe, excuse me. The start of the project, when it does get going, it's going to be focused on the Monroe intersection. Last year we went head to head pretty early in the project with the traffic. This year, we're going to finish that Monroe intersection before we move traffic head to head, but there will be restrictions through there. For about the first 3 weeks, 122 traffic will be able to travel east-west through the intersection. Monroe traffic will not be able to cross 122. But then it'll be, as far as turning, it'll be limited to right-hand turns. Monroe northbound traffic will be able to turn right or eastbound onto 122. 122 traffic going eastbound will be able to turn right onto Monroe, and of course the other right turns as well. But when that is done, after those first approximately 3 weeks, the intersection will only be open to east-west traffic on 122. There will not be any turns, and Monroe traffic will not be able to cross. And that will probably last into late May. At that point, we will move traffic over to the newly constructed westbound lanes in a head-to-head pattern, and get working on constructing the new eastbound lanes.
Well, I know we talked about it last week, but definitely road that needs to be redone. The biggest thing I know in last year's project was everything that's underneath the road and wanting to get all the infrastructure that's underneath the road done.
Yeah, exactly. And I just talked to our construction inspector for that project, and we talked about, the electrical and fiber optics and all the stuff that got moved last year. And that's great to have that out of the way. This year is all the water main and
Mm.
other service connections that are underneath the eastbound lane. So there's still utility work, and it's still, again, you get the highway tore out and people are wondering, why aren't they paving? Well, it's because there's a lot of storm sewer, there's a lot of water main, a lot of work underneath that needs to be done yet. So there will still be quite a bit of underground work, and we'll go from there.
Tell us again about Highway 65 on the south end of Mason City.
Yeah, this will be the final year of what's been about a 3-year project. We will be reconstructing from about 20th Street to about 28th. It will be detoured starting at 19th Street for southbound traffic, and the detour will be 19th Street over to Kentucky and then back to 65 on 240th or B35. Obviously, just reverse that if you are coming in from the south. And that one is scheduled to start on the 23rd or 24th, again, weather permitting. So we'll see where that is. And I mean, that's next week already. I don't know where Marsh is gone, but it's going.
Yeah, you said that, and I'm just like, wait, that's next week.
Yeah, I did the exact same thing. I just looked at my notes and I was like, "Oh, you got to be kidding me!"
With the snow that we've had on the ground here, it does not seem like the middle of March. But
No.
what else do we need to keep an eye on or keep in the back of our mind construction-wise?
Yeah, I guess the other one that will probably have the biggest impact on drivers in this area is just south of Rockwell. We're going to be doing a bridge replacement project. They'll be starting on that one pretty soon, but for the initial stages of it, they're going to be able to do some of the work underneath the bridge and not affect traffic. When they do close the bridge, it'll be detoured, and that'll be B43 to S56 to C13, and of course reverse. That's for southbound traffic. Reverse it if you're coming from the south. So that will be one that you got to be aware of too. But that one probably won't get going until about mid-April at the earliest with that detour. So once we get to that, we can talk a little bit more about what's going on and some of the impacts and some of the duration of the detour.
Anything else you want to add before we let you go?
One more, the interstate project. We did the interstate
Yeah.
project last year, the southbound lanes down in the Thornton area, about 7 miles south of there. We'll be doing the north side this year, and that will be starting at schedule, I believe, to start about April 6th, so early April. One thing with that one, the on and off ramps at we'll call it the Sheffield Road, where you can go off northbound into Sheffield, they will be closed for the duration of that project. You will southbound, you will still be able to use the on and off ramps there, but if you're going northbound, you will have to, if you want to get into Sheffield or one of those areas, you'll have to use one of the on or off ramps before or after the project.
All right. Well, we appreciate you taking some time out. Hopefully we won't have any more winter and things can get rolling here on these projects. But yes, it's definitely been an interesting winter, I'm sure, for the DOT in regards to, clearing off the roads and whatnot. We've had those weird stretches of, seems like it's going to be spring, and then all of a sudden winter hits us again.
Yeah, you nailed it. We started out with things were pretty active and had kind of a lull, and then we've got some more active time frames right now. So yeah, we'll see how it plays out. And the other thing, most of these storms, if you've noticed, have come on a weekend, so that plays into it as well. It's Mother Nature's in charge, and we do what we can to make things as best as we can.
You just have to write it out one way or the other. So
there you go.
Pete, we appreciate you joining us, and we'll talk to you next week at this time.
All right. Sounds great. Thanks, Bob.
All right. Pete Hjelmstad here with the Iowa Department of Transportation here on your hometown news station, AM 1300.